there are certain CEOs that in my opinion, but we'll discuss this because I think this is going to be a good debate. In my opinion, there are certain CEOs you should not follow, and one of those CEOs is the former CEO of Starbucks. Now, and I can't remember his name. If somebody can look that up real quick, but this guy,
that's his goofy of the week.
He's the goofy of the week, I think. I don't know. We may disagree on this, but he basically there's a show called the All In Podcast. Maybe some of you listeners are familiar with it. Jason CALACANIS, CHAMATH, PALIHAPITIYA, what's his name? Two other dudes they're all Silicon Valley, CEOs at different points and current CEOs. And they have this really great podcast called the All In Podcast. And they brought up this issue of the Starbucks CEO being fired. They talked at length about what's going on with Starbucks, which is interesting, and I recommend it, and we'll put it in the notes, but is not something that we need to talk about here. But one thing that they did talk about was a video of the CEO. And essentially in the video, what he says is that when 6 p.m. rolls around in the workplace, he outie. He don't want to hear nothing from nobody. He's on his way home. He's ready to hang with the fam, and that's it until the next workday.
His name is Laxman Narasimhan.
Laxman Narasimhan.
See? He's Laxman. I fucking knew it. Not a businessman is his last name. That's crazy. Bro. You can't be a CEO and say after 6, don't hit me. Do you think you're a fucking drug kingpin?
Okay, so let's talk about it. So you believe Fresh, and I believe the same thing. I think that when you're a CEO, I wouldn't even just say a CEO. When you're a leader of anything, of any kind of enterprise, and that can be a company, or it could just be, a movement, or maybe whatever. If you're a leader of something, my automatic assumption is that you are on call 24/7. If you are the leader of that thing, the leader.
To somebody. If you're the leader, you're on call to whoever is directly above you at all times, or below you, at all times.
At all times.
You know what I mean? So
right.
That's just what it is. You are meant to lead this shit.
Yeah.
The only time, so what? You're saying that at 6, it falls to the person below you, and too bad, who gives a fuck? That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy. Right. The buck stops with you. You're supposed to be in the trenches.
Yeah. And I can understand if you have a hierarchical structure where, I wouldn't want every employee in the entire company coming up to me and after 6 p.m. That I can understand. But in terms of you have VPs, the people around you, the executives around you, you're telling me that at 6 p.m. they can't contact you, or after 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. or whenever the workday starts the next day. It's a no contact time period. First of all, I don't believe it. I don't believe that the CEO of Starbucks does not receive any communiques about Starbucks between 6 p.m. and 9 a.m. the next day. There's just there's no freaking way.
You think it was thinking he was doing lip service?
I think it's lip service.
But it's not actually lip service, but he's trying to, right? Because also that's not relatable to who he's talking to and who he's trying to appeal to. It's not relatable. It's actually not relatable to anybody. So it's like a hit and a miss, right?
Most people, I don't know. What do you think, Deezy? Because most people, even if they work a normal job, some people are really I'm out at 5, whatever. I'm out the door. Don't talk to me.
And those people never go anywhere in their jobs.
Right.
If there's something that comes up, listen, you shouldn't be being taken advantage of either, right? By your job, where they're just making you do shit and they're not paying you and whatever. But it doesn't mean you're not available. How many people pick up shifts for people? You know what I'm trying to say? It's the same shit. It's the same concept. You make yourself available because this is work. And now when it's your business, or you have a greater stake in the business, then you should be doing that more, not less. If you expect that of your people working at the ground level, that better be because you give that. And so again, who are you talking to and who are you trying to appeal to when you say this shit? Because the people who work under you don't have that privilege.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so what he actually said was, here's his exact quote. Took me a little bit to find it. He said, "I'm very disciplined about balance. If there's anything after 6 p.m. and if I'm in town, it's got to be a pretty high bar to keep me away from my family. Anybody who gets a minute of time after that, just make sure that it's important. Because if it's not important, it'll wait for another day." But I think that that's a fair thing to say as a CEO. Like, your time is important. And like, after 6 p.m., like, look, I'm technically off. But if I need to handle it, if it's something that I need to handle, obviously it's important, right? Then contact me. But maybe it's to say, like, don't, if there's somebody else that you can contact that's going to help you with this, it's not a CEO's job.
Okay, bro, he's not saying this at a fucking meeting though, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's not saying this at his local meeting. Who the fuck you talking to at this point? Why are you saying this right now?
It was an
Nobody's
interview.
yeah, but exactly. So why? Who are you showing off to that? Oh, you better not call me after 6 because I'm the big CEO. Like, it doesn't need to be said. You know you're the CEO. Everybody knows the same shit. You don't contact the CEO unless it's serious business.
Well, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Deezy, in the sense of there are certain things that
He's not saying don't contact me, I'm not getting back to you after 6 p.m. He's saying, like, there, I don't know if you know the scale of like urgent, important, and like how urgent something can be and how important something can be and where they fall. Like, immediate can wait, uh, like how, where things fall. Saying if it's 6 p.m., it needs to be urgent and immediate and important. Like,
He's a CEO.
I get it. I get it. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate there. Like, hey,
Bro, but like in the job title of CEO, it means that that's what you're there to deal with is really important shit. You're the CEO of Starbucks. I don't think you need to explain that nobody calls you when the ice machine's not making ice. You know what I'm trying to say? I just think it's condescending, and who the fuck are you appealing to? Because the people that you work with don't like, again, the people underneath you do not have that. It's not the same for them. At 6 p.m., if it's urgent or not, they don't get to be like, well, I turn it off and I'm with my family and whatever. If they don't do it, they might not have a job. But you as a CEO have this fucking privilege of sitting up on your high horse and being like, after 6, don't call me unless it's super important. You don't need to say it. You're not talking to your employees. You're doing an interview.
yeah, well, maybe no, I don't know. Maybe I should listen to this whole interview and see if there's more context to what they asked him, because maybe they asked him about his work. How does he keep a work-life balance? And he said something along the lines like, I am disciplined about balance. After 6 p.m., I try to tune out. And if there's anything important, obviously I'm there. But otherwise, just after 6, I'm out. But the thing is, though, if he expects more from his employee, is different, right? Like, if his immediate under can't do the same thing unless he's specifically contacting them, if his immediate managers can't do the same thing, then that's not fair, right? That's kind of what you're getting at, Fresh, right? Like, pyramid scheme, he's at the top,
Yeah.
whip, whip, whip,
Yeah,
everyone else do
exactly.
the
And he's
work.
like, 6 o'clock, I'm out. And again, we know you're the CEO, so we know you're out, right? We get it. At 6, you are out. You clock out. And unless something is really important, we're not going to call you. However, you're kind of explaining that you're a CEO and how you're a CEO in an interview for no reason.
yeah, I mean,
I see what you're saying.
I definitely feel that there's a couple layers to this thing. The first layer for me is establishing company culture, right? I personally feel like in any company that I'm in, and I think DZ are a little bit blurred out here. Um, I think in any company that I would be a part of, I want everybody to be in it. I've been in companies where everybody isn't in it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody doesn't want to go that extra mile. And me personally, as someone who, if I may toot my own horn, I'm that guy. Even when I was in companies where I had a boss or whatever, I would do shit that nobody would ask me to do, just because it's just the way I am. If I see that something is messed up, it just irks me. It bothers me. I have to go in and I gotta figure out if I can fix that thing. And I remember when I got my first job in advertising, where I'd be the only guy in the whole freaking building, sometimes on a weekend, because there's something that I wanted to do, and I need to design something or get something done, or I wanted to do research or whatever, and I would go in. You know what I'm saying? And not that everybody has to do that, but I don't know. I personally feel like if I'm involved in something, like, I mean, I'll say this with us, three of us, we put in the time, man. And we have lives and we have other shit we got to do, and whatever. We take the time to do the things that we need to do in our lives. But I feel so great working with you guys, because I know, like, hey, if we got to get something done, we got to put in the time. Like, we will find it and we will do it. And if that means that, hey, every so often we got to go extra in terms of, um, whether it's effort or whether it's putting in actual time or have to stay up later or whatever, I feel good that the three of us are willing to do that in whatever way we can, and we'll figure it out. We got to grab dinner with the fam, we'll do that, but we'll figure out how to do it. I mean, like, even today, after we recorded this episode, we're gonna do a bunch of shit, right? So I personally just feel that in any organization, I think for anybody in any organization, whatever work they're doing, I want them to go extra. And if they're not willing to do that, I really don't want to be a part of an organization that's like that. And I don't want anybody to be, uh if it's something that I'm doing, I don't want people to be involved in that. Now, that's within reason. Okay. And I feel like you do have to have those discussions in advance and say, okay, what is your availability? All this kind of stuff. But I think that, I don't know, that's the culture that I enjoy. That's the kind of work culture I enjoy. And maybe that would change if I had kids or something. I don't know. I don't have kids, but
As a CEO, if you said to me, 6 o'clock, I'm out, whatever, my first question to you is going to be, so who's the CEO after 6?
right.
Right? Because what the fuck are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like, if something comes up, it doesn't matter how big or small this shit is. The buck stops with you, motherfucker. You can't be out.
Guys, I'm out. I'm out.
I think it was taken out of context, to be honest, because, like, even on his Wikipedia, it says he said it made headlines saying he never works past 6. And even in his sentence, he says, "And I'm in if I'm in town." So, like, he obviously works past 6, right? I think that his intention was, like, if I'm in the office, because the biggest thing about a CEO is, like, how often are you really even in the office? You're probably flying all over the goddamn place. You're constantly traveling. That's what I imagine a CEO would be doing, right? Like, so I think that what he was saying is, like, if there's anything after 6 and if I'm in town, it's got to be a high bar. So what, I don't know, maybe he's saying, like, I'm out flying, traveling, and working all the damn time. So when I am in town, I have a 6 p.m. so I can spend time with my family. Maybe that's what it is. My point is, I'm trying to get the context of what he was actually trying to say. I doubt that he never worked past 6 p.m. That would be a fallacy. Like, there's no way for 2 years that they allowed him to not work past 6. Like, you know what I mean?
For sure. But listen, I watched this shit. It's not that it was taken out of context. I think that he was just trying to appeal to somebody. Like, he thought that he was playing lip service. You know what I mean? And it's just that nobody relates to what he said.
No, not with if you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars. People would be like, I'll do your job times 10 for what you're getting paid, bro. Like, tell me where to be and when to be there, and I'll fucking be there an hour early." Like, most people would be like, "Pay me $20 million. I'll fucking be the CEO of Starbucks and do whatever you need me to do." You know what I mean? And he's like, "Past 6. But fuck that. My wife's coming with me everywhere I go. She's part of the business now. She's my assistant.